G'day, I'm Steve. Hi, I'm Steve, Woodworking Masterclass. Welcome to my workshop. What I'd like to do with this video is continue in the Good Things Come in 3 series. And what I want to do is talk about abrasive paper and give you 3 simple ideas that can help you use abrasives and save abrasives. Now, first of all, if you use rolls of abrasive paper, or possibly you use sheets of abrasive paper, one of the biggest hassles that I've found is even if you're using a 3rd sheet sander, it's tearing those sheets into the right size. Or if you're using a cork sanding block, it's cutting those to size. So I'll show you 2 very simple jigs you can make out of a bit of scrap that will help alleviate that task and make your woodworking more enjoyable. I'll also show you how you can revitalise an old sanding block. Instead of throwing it away, give it a new lease on life. First of all, to the 2 jigs. All you need firstly, a bit of scrap plywood. This is a bit of an offcut I got out of the bin. Size doesn't matter. What we need is the exact size of the abrasive paper. Don't know why they call it sandpaper, because I don't think we use sand anymore. So the size we're looking for is 280 long. So roughly dividing that, it's about 93 mil. What's going to happen at 93 mil, you're going to get one piece that's a little bit wider than the other 2, and if you go to 94 mil, you're going to end up with one piece that's a little bit narrower. So choice is yours. All right, so to measure off 93 mil, it's about there. And it's a good idea to have it a little bit wider than the sheet. So the sheet itself is 2300 wide, so I'd go 10 mil either side. So mark out 250 mil. And we just mark that there. Okay, I'll take that over to the bandsaw, cut it, line that up to the blade. Turn the bandsaw on. Wait until the blade stops. Reach in, get my timber. Now we'll go to the docking saw. Line the blade up with the mark. Push up against the fence. Okay, now that's cut to width. And there should be just around 10 mil either side of the paper, which there is, or we can do it that way so you can see it. The reason I don't cut it to the exact width of the paper is sometimes you might not line it up properly and you might get not a straight tear. And then this other bit, what we can do is, in fact we might even leave that the way it is. Yep, and that's going to be the same width we need when you're using a cork block, which is pretty close to this size here, which is just the right size to use when you're hand sanding. Now what I want to do is just set it up, and I'm just going to cut a chamfer on it. Now you could use a router bit, you could use a table saw, but I'll just trim these bits up. As you can tell, I've just cut a chamfer on that, and that will allow the paper to tear a lot easier. I'll give it a test drive. All you do is line up the back edge there with the straight edge of your sandpaper and just pull. And there you have it. Sandpaper just the right width. for your sanding blocks. Now what I've got to do is go over and do exactly the same to this one. Alright, that one's done too. We'll just try this out. As I said, at 93 you generally get two the same size and then one a little bit larger. I'll just line that up to the edge. See how nice, easily it tears? And there you have it. Two the right size, one slightly bigger. But that doesn't really matter. You can mess around with 1/2 mil if you want to make them exact, but I prefer to be woodworking rather than messing around with that. And the other thing to make these good for a cork block, just fold it in half. And you can either cut it with a knife or again use your block there, and there you have it. 6 sheets ready for the cork sander. Little tip when you're using a cork sander too, a lot of people will put their sandpaper on like that. Now can you see that belly there in the paper? That is what catches and ruins your paper. So if you put it there, put pressure on your thumb and then roll it over, then hang on to it, you'll notice there's no belly there, and that'll give you a nice smooth surface to work with. So what's that? That's 2 tips. 3rd tip, cork block. If you have a look at this one, you can see there's a chunk out of it there. A lot of times you throw it away because it wasn't flat. I'll show you how you can regenerate and rejuvenate one of these blocks to give you an extra tool in the workshop. And I use it especially when I'm doing French polishing or marquetry work. Now the bit of scrap that we had left over from these 2 little jigs, there's an idea too. If you drill a hole through both of those, then just put them up on the wall somewhere and you'll know where they are. This little bit of scrap, what you can do is the width of this plywood, take it off the cork block. Go over to the bandsaw and I'll show you what I mean. So the outside edge, there's this side edge, is just level with this bit of ply, which that is. Tighten your fence up. Now where the damage is on the cork block, let's have that on the inside, fingers free, move your job away, turn the bandsaw on, and just very gently push it through. Wait until the bandsaw stops. Remove your bits of cork. Even if the blade's not going, it's a good practice with a push stick just to use the push stick to get your stuff. That way your fingers are nowhere near it. And maybe on the odd occasion the bandsaw might be on. If you're in that practice, it's a lot safer. Okay, so we've come back, still got a bit of ply, 2 bits of cork. Hang on to that, I'll show you some uses for that later. Now this, we just glue onto the cork block. You can use contact cement or any sort of wood glue. Just a bit of scrap spatula, just spread it all around. What I do to make sure I get the right area, I'll just place it on there, and that gives me an idea of where we're going to put the glue on this side as well. Right, and with the glue, follow manufacturer's instructions. Some say you've got to let it get tacky before you join it, and some you can join straight away. So just read the label and see what it says. Throw that away because I don't like it. Alright, now once that's tacky, it's starting to feel dry now, place it on just so you got a little bit of overhang each side. Put that in the vise and I'll leave it for an hour or so they'll end up with something looking very similar to that. A hard surface one side and a cork block on the other. And where they come in very handy is if you're doing marquetry or French polishing and you've got to have a dead flat surface. The problem with cork, one of its qualities is also one of its detriments, is it can form to different shapes. So if you've got sharp corners you want to keep sharp, if you use cork, there's a good chance you'll round those corners over. Whereas with plywood or a bit of timber, it's going to be hard and maintain it nice and flat. Likewise, if you're sanding back some designs in marquetry and you've got different levels of veneers, if you've got the plywood, you'll get the one level all the time, whereas you'll find the cork can ride up and over different heights of veneer. Use this, cut it up, I think you get about 6 pieces out of that, and it's terrific if you're using F-clamps or sash clamps or doing any sort of clamping work and you don't want to harm the surface of the job you're doing. It's a great little way of protecting that timber surface. Well, that's 2 tips, 2 jigs, so you can cut your abrasive paper that's on a roll or in sheet form. Another way of rejuvenating and getting another tool in your shed using a very economical sanding cork block. And the 3rd tip I really think is one of the best ones I've ever learnt, and it has saved me so much in abrasives. A normal piece of abrasive. Now if I was to fold it into 4, most people do this. And that's how they fold it. What happens is this surface here will abrade this surface, so in effect what you've done is reduced the cutting capability of your abrasive by 50% because that's going to be worn out by the time you get to use it. You can just fold it in half, but sometimes we need smaller bits. Here's the trick that I think is absolutely priceless. Ordinary square, fold your piece into 4, and then rip down one of these lines to the middle. It doesn't matter which one. And now if you fold that onto that, that onto that, and that onto that, there, and you have protected every surface of that abrasive paper. And that will double the life of your abrasives. So that's it for another time. Until we meet again, it's Steve saying remember to keep it sharp, but more importantly, keep it safe and enjoy your woodwork. What?